Hi, everyone. Welcome to the download. My name is Mike Torezzo. With me, as always, my buddy Joel Lowe.
Hello, good morning.
Joel's on a bit of a delay today. Today, we're going to talk about kids and technology. Um,
Right.
so, this is kind of important, right? As these children and actually really just the last two generations have grown up with technology,
Yep.
and our generation included. We were kind of the first generation to grow up with computers in the current technology state that we're in. Um, but it's so much more available now, right? There's a
Mhm.
computer in your pocket and just about everybody's pocket. There are devices all around the house and everything else. Joel, you had a great idea. You were talking about your family and things like this. Start us off if you don't
So,
mind.
you see kids get introduced to technology quite early, right?
Yeah.
So we went to dinner and there was some little kids in a high chair and they were so quiet and well behaved because they had a tablet in front of them, right? Or they
Yeah.
had the parents' phone in front of them and they're looking at something. So
Yeah.
technology is introduced way early to kids, right? And I'm not here to say what's the right amount and what's wrong or whatnot. But what we want to talk about is making sure that we're thoughtful about the time they're spent and or thoughtful on what they're watching, right? Because social media or technology can be used by adversaries for bad play, right?
Right.
It also can be mistakes done when it comes to spending money on these games, right?
That's a big one. That's a
Right,
huge one.
right.
For years,
So
that's been a problem.
right. So you find yourself in a situation where you're trying to look out and buy something for, my daughter's avatar, right? I've had this
Right.
happen with my mom. She's gonna get her some new shoes, right? Or a jacket, right? And it costs, $2.99. Well, you think to yourself, I can pay $2.99. That's not a big deal. You put
Yeah.
in your information, you fill it out, she gets her new jacket or shoes or whatever for her after she's completely happy. And what you didn't realize is you didn't look at it. Now every month you're getting a recurring bill for
Yeah.
$2.99, right?
Yeah.
And you can think to yourself, that's not a big deal. But after a couple of months, that's $50, right?
Right.
That just went out your account, right?
Right.
For something that you signed up for. So make sure that when you're spending money, that you're watching what you're spending money on, and the agreements with it, right?
Right.
You have to push something because it's automatically set up on recurring bill. You have
Yeah.
to push something to say, no, I don't want. I just want this to be a one time
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
right?
You actually and so just going staying with the topic of games, we talked about, what kind of game is it? Like, is it
Right,
a social interaction game like Animal Crossing? Is it just like, a fighting game? You're like, is that age appropriate for my kid?
right, right.
Um, you know, I like you said play the game with your kid, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
get on there with
join,
it.
join the game. I do that. We'll play uh, a game together, and that way I can see what the interaction is. Also,
Yeah.
from my end, I can see what features are on. Right. So
Right.
can I take a screenshot or send her some information or
Yeah.
ask her questions? Can we talk through it? Right,
Right.
and then figure out if those features are appropriate, or even sit down with her and have a conversation. Hey,
Yeah.
I know that people who are your friends can call you, right, and y'all can talk through the game, right? But I want you to be mindful of who you add as a friend, right? So
Right.
I'm the only one that can add a friend to your group, right? Because I want to make sure that you're safe, baby. It's
Right.
nothing against you. It's just me being making sure that you're safe, right?
Right.
Having those conversations. Hey, if somebody calls you and they say something that you don't think is appropriate, or you don't understand why they're saying certain things, right? They're being mean, or you don't feel comfortable. Come get me. I'm
Yeah.
not going to
Tell me
stop you
about
from
it.
playing the game,
Right.
right? You got to let them know there's no consequence. I'm not going to stop you from playing the game, but I just want to make sure I know what's going on, right?
No.
But also through playing the game, you get to spend some time with your children,
Right.
which is always good. Doing something they want to do. I can remember back in the day, like when Nintendo came out, right?
Yeah.
Mom would play Nintendo with me, right? She
Hmm.
wasn't good, but she'd play it
Yeah.
every now and then, and probably just to see, what kind of violence was going on. Mario's
Right.
hitting that mushroom too hard, right? But
Right.
um, again, you're spending time with them, but you also get to understand what's going on within in that game, right? So
Right.
that helps you out, and I think that's always important to know exactly what's going on. I
No,
also put in there be tricky, right? And what I mean by that
that was
is,
good. This is good.
yeah, yeah, be tricky. So I set up all my daughter's social media accounts, right? I know it's gonna happen, right? So I'm going to get in front of it, right? So if I set up her accounts, guess what I have? I have the password, I have the username, I also know the profile, right?
Right.
I also can get to the settings, I can set
Right.
them all, and I'm the one that controls what she's doing. So maybe now when it's not that big of a deal, but when she becomes like 15, 16, 17, right? I want to know, like I only can see so much as a friend, right? So you'll hear
Right.
some people say, hey, join as a friend, right? And then if they post something, you get to see it. No, no, no,
They
no.
can block.
You
Yeah,
they
they
can
can choose
block
to
you.
not share that
They,
with you. Yeah.
they can choose not to, right? I want to be on the back end so I can see exactly what's going on. Did something
Right.
change? What am I not seeing? Right? And that's just being tricky, right? And
Yeah.
to this day, that's going to be me, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
going to be that parent that's like, yo, I know everything, right? And I hope so, right? I'm going
Well,
to put
and you don't know everything, but you're setting yourself up for success. You're setting your kid up for success as
right,
well, right? Like kids are going to hide stuff, right? They
right,
they are. It's understanding how and why they're hiding stuff and things like that.
right,
But getting in
right,
early and starting that trust and having them know, like, look, I'm not here just to just see what you're doing. I'm not here just to press down on you to restrict what you're doing. I want to
right,
make sure that bad stuff doesn't come in and affects you. And when it does, we can get in front of it and I can explain it to you and we can talk it over and you can understand that this is bad behavior. This shouldn't
right,
happen and
right,
it should be reported, it should be acknowledged, and it should be dealt with appropriately, right? And yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was amazing. um and so that's great with the social media, right?
right,
Understanding things that you post are there for forever,
right,
right? Like explain to
right,
your kid, like, you're going to have a reaction on some things and
right,
you're going to want to say things that are potentially inflammatory and things like this. And in some ways, the internet and social media is anonymous in some ways. In other ways, it's attached to you as a digital
forever,
profile. Yeah, for forever.
right,
And even if you delete the post, people screenshot, people record. You put something on a website that you don't know who owns the content for. They could be recording the content and things like that. You
right,
got to be really careful about it. You wouldn't say certain things in public in a mall, right? So don't say
right,
them on the internet. And
right,
we as human beings, we forget about that. Well, I could say whatever I want. There's a human being on the other end of that that's going to be on the
right,
receiving end of that. You don't want somebody doing that to you. Don't do it to other people, right?
right,
And I think that was you. I think I can't remember who said it, but one of us said it. It was a great comment. It was like, yeah, we need to bring that up again. I know we talked about it in previous
right,
episodes, but it doesn't go away. Um, let's talk about setting up computers, right? So if you have a family computer, um, like we had a home computer everybody shared. Not everybody has
right,
their own laptop. It'd be great if you did have
right,
your own profile on your children's laptop
right.
or technology if they have their own technology. But if you have a family computer, make sure everybody has their own login, and then set their parental settings appropriately,
Controls,
right?
right.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
no adult sites.
I mean, you see that now. Even let's go beyond computers, right? Everybody has some kind of either Netflix, Hulu, some kind of
Yeah,
streaming service, right?
yeah,
And on those streaming services, I have a profile for my child,
yeah.
right? And it's set just the way you said, with age appropriate content, and then
Right,
everything else has a password on it, right? So
right,
she can't go to my profile. And it's not that I don't trust my child. It's just that, again, it's putting those guardrails up to make sure that the content that they're sliding into in front of her is appropriate, right?
right.
And I think that's another thing we talked about was, I said sometimes sit back and watch her social media with her, right?
Yeah,
So my daughter, or your child, my daughter likes the Play-Doh, where they create things out of Play-Doh, like a Moana, or and they cut little arts and crafts stuff. So I'll sit back and watch that with her.
yeah,
And what I want to see is what videos are coming in, right?
right,
Because it's an algorithm, right? It's
right,
supposed to be things that she likes, right? But if something pops in that I'm like, why is this? How did this get in here, right?
right,
Then I kind of want to now relook at that algorithm to figure out, what did she click on, or why are they sending this to her, right?
right,
And again, it's a twofer, right? So you get to spend
right.
time with your child and see
Yeah.
what they're watching, but you also get to see what's coming through to kind of understand if something's appropriate or not. So
No, I
that's
I
a
like that a lot. There's a lot you can see just from that algorithm is like,
Right.
okay, do I have settings that are inappropriate or not stringent enough? Or did they click on something to trigger that? Look at the history and see what was watched and viewed and everything else. But that was really good. That's a simple thing,
Yeah.
that you can see what else is coming up. Um, let's talk. Talk a little bit more about games. We touched a little bit on it in the beginning because
Right.
this will impact every parent out there who hands their kid a game or something. We talked about playing the game with your kids, so you spend
Hmm.
the time, you understand how the game works, what the need for buying new stuff is, right? Well, I need to buy this because it's a new clothing or new this for my avatar, and you're like, you don't really need that, do you? Or is that
Right.
just something you want to do? Kids are going to want things. They're going to want to spend money and things like that. Just make sure that when you do give them, like your mom did for your child, that it's not locking you into a recurring billing,
Right.
or hey, you
Or get a
promised to
gift
give us
card.
$10 a month. Get a gift
Get a
card.
gift card.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm again not going back to our travel tips that we did before, but I have a friend of mine that I travel with. They take a gift card with them,
Hmm.
and they load it up, right? Like a Visa gift card. They load it up with money, and they use that the whole trip, right? So that it protects them from
Over.
people overspending, and two,
Yeah.
their money getting snatched out of their account, right? They know they've already got their set limit. So I'd say
Yeah.
that too with some of these games, especially the popular ones like a Roadblocks, they have actual gift cards for
Yeah.
Roadblocks, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So load it up, right? I bought her a $15 gift card, and I was like, okay, we'll put this on your account, right?
Right.
And that way now is no recurring, right? You don't have to
Right.
worry about that. Or
Yeah.
Visa card, right? Go ahead and get a Visa card for them, use that for games, right? And say, hey, I've put $30 on here. This is for your
Yeah.
games. So anytime they want something for our avatar, you go ahead and put it on there and say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to buy it for you. And even if it recurs, it's only going to take $30 out, right?
Right.
Versus it being more than that.
Right.
So just
And
just think through. Go
And
ahead.
some banks will allow you to just create, gift cards as well. Like I know
Right.
Wells Fargo, Bank of America,
Yeah.
they'll allow you to create a separate gift card and spend. And you could just give them kid the money and load it. And I think you can reload some of them too, so
Right.
that it's not connected to your account. It's one directional, and you
Right.
can just send money to it. But it's there if you need it. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. We talked about group chat, and we talked about free games, right? The add-ins.
Free.
We grew up with free games as well, right? You get a demo of a computer game or something. You're like, wow, this is great. You get to the first level, and then you're like, yeah, you want to play, keep playing. It's $20. And you're like,
Right.
huh? I
Right.
thought this was a free game. You're like,
Right.
no, this is just to draw you in.
It's to just
Um,
get you hooked. All right.
it's to get you hooked. So yeah, it's fine. Just make sure you watch the reoccurring billing and things like that. You also mentioned something. What's the target audience, right?
Right.
Who is this game made for, right?
Right.
What is the audience? Disney just put out the Mirrorverse game, where it's Disney characters, but it's a fighting Disney game,
Mhm.
and it's like,
Mm.
okay, I see
Right.
what you did there.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, what does that look like?
Right.
Um,
So
so
you know what? You don't have to read. So we talked about in one of our previous ones about reading the contract or the agreement when you sign up for the games, right? And nobody really does that, but you can read the description, right? So the game will have a describe. It will describe what the game is for, the purpose of it,
right,
and it'll also tell you the age range for
right,
it. Right. So those two things that are just a quick read versus going dive into, more of what it's trying to take from the phone and what is it using and how much data it's sharing and things of that nature. But you can figure out what the purpose of the game. The game is set up to do this. The goal is to do this. This
right,
character is trying to navigate, or you're trying to build a farm or a house or whatever it is. It's going to tell you, right?
right,
And then it tells you your age limit. So my thing is know what that looks like, wipe and reload, right? So
right,
let's say that you think that the problem has gotten too far. Well, delete all the apps, and then when your child comes to you and say, "Hey, I can't find this game," okay, now add it back on, right? Read to it, and that's how you do it. Because right now she got like 50 apps on there, and I'm like, "What are all these different?" Delete them.
right,
Start
right,
over. The ones that are
yeah,
important, they're gonna ask for. Hey, I
right,
can't find this one here. Okay, and then open it up and read it, put them back on there, right?
right,
It's never too late.
right,
Never too late.
right, right.
So
let's talk takeaways, right?
takeaways.
I make sure you know what your kids are looking at on their devices. Um,
Yep.
you know, y- Look at the apps, right? See what they are and everything else. When they're kids and they're young kids and things like that, just see if they're appropriate apps and games and stuff like that. But as they get older, there is a functionality that you can rename what an app is and change the icon and the logo that's attached to it. Click on them, right? Sorry,
Yep.
kids. But click on that calculator app. Make sure it's a calculator and not something else. Make
Yeah.
sure that it's
Sorry,
not
sorry,
Snapchat or
husbands.
something. Yeah, sorry, husbands and wives.
Sorry, husbands and wives. Yeah, I mean,
But make sure
yeah,
that you do that and
right,
talk to your
right.
kids, right?
Hmm.
Hey, look, I'm just it's not that I'm trying to keep you. It's not that I'm trying to lock you away. It's not that I'm trying to do this. I just want you to be safe, right?
Right,
And not make the mistakes that I've made or other people have made and ruin your life, or just make it maybe not ruin your life, but make it more difficult, right? Just
right,
it's always
right.
going to be that one thing that bothers you from 20 years ago, and you're
Hmm.
like, don't let me stop. Let me help you from doing that. Um,
I think that's a
social.
key. That's a key thing right there, right? I
Mhm,
think growing up, we were one of those like we were told what we had to do, and you kind of didn't ask questions, right? You just did it, right? And
right.
versus now, I have to ask myself. I had a conversation yesterday about this. I asked myself, well, why did I say no? Like what? I'm so quick to be like, no, we're not going to do that. But then the question
Right.
comes up, well, why not? And you're like,
Right.
hmm, that's a good question. Why can't we? You know what? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
so my thing is to have these conversations. We're growing little people that are open to a lot more than we were open to at their age, and
Right.
because of that, they're asking those questions of, well, why can't we? Or
Right.
why not?
Right.
Or that doesn't make sense to me. And my thing is have those conversations with them. Will make it so that when you need to have them to have a conversation with you about something that's truly, truly important, they'll feel comfortable enough to do it because you've been open to say,
Yeah.
hey, I always tell you what's going on. I always want to make sure you know. So it's not you, it's just me making sure that I protect you.
Yeah.
And with that, you can have those open dialogues, and hopefully your kids will come to you and talk to you again when it's something that is truly, truly important that you really need to know about.
Yeah. Foster honesty, foster
Hmm.
trust, foster the ability for your child to know that they can challenge something, that they can
Right,
ask the question, right?
right, correct.
Hey, dad, why do we do this? Or hey, mom, why do we do this?
Hmm.
Or why can't I? And you're like, okay, here's why. Because and it is scary.
Hmm.
There's some scary stuff out there. It's scary
Yep.
in life. But preparing your children for that and being open and honest with them and having that trust, that's important, right? At the end
Right.
of the day, we're parents, but you are a parent. You're not your kid's friend.
Nope.
You're not your kid's buddy. You're
Nope.
your kid's parent. um but you do still need trust, otherwise it's an erosion, and it goes away and it's gone forever. Trust
Correct.
is a
Correct.
currency we can never make more of, right? Integrity is a
Correct.
currency you can never make more of. It's once it's gone, it's gone, it's spent.
I'm gonna put that on a
Social
shirt.
media, right, right. I'm
Right.
gonna
Put that
put
on a
that on a
shirt right
shirt.
there, on a
Um,
button.
I, yeah, we,
Yeah.
our currency is information. Our currency is integrity, right?
Right.
It is
Correct.
what it is.
Correct.
Social media, we talked about get them to understand that it's forever,
It is
right?
forever.
It's people can screenshot, people can
Hmm.
copy. It doesn't get deleted from the internet. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then games.
Right.
What is
So
it?
I mean, what is it? What does it do? Know that nothing is for free. Period.
Right, right.
Absolutely nothing. I don't care. When your kids, I used to hear this all the time. Well, that doesn't cost anything. It's free. No, no, no. It starts off free,
It
right?
starts off
It
very
it always costs something. So I always want
right,
to make sure everybody understands that nothing is for free. Hey, grandma, put this on. It's free. I just want to play it. Nothing is for free. It
right,
starts off free, but then
right,
what happened is they're like, I can only go so far. I need $2, right? And again, it's always lower numbers. They're never gonna hit you and be like, hey, it's $24, right?
right.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a dollar. It's just $2.
Micro
Hey, and then
purchases.
you pay that. It's they'll nickel and dime you all the way to the finish line.
Yep.
Next, you know, you'll be like, I've paid $100 on
Yeah.
this game, right?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Uh,
And if it's fun, support the developer, but
Right,
just
right.
be weary
Right,
that, and to your point, like set a limit, set a dollar amount, set this, set,
right,
hey, you can't go above this, support the developer because otherwise
right, right,
games don't get developed. New games don't come
right,
out. People need to eat, right? But
right.
be wary of going too far, too fast and everything else. So
Yep, yep.
Joel, this is great. I think this is wonderful. I personally, I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews and cousins, but I personally don't have kids.
Yep.
But I hear my friends talk about stuff like this all the time, and I appreciate you, putting this topic out there today. What closing thoughts do you have? Do you have anything that you want to
Hey,
close on?
man, knowing is half the battle. G.I.
Back to
Joe.
that again.
Yeah, man. Hey, now that you know, you can apply. And people, that's the whole goal of this podcast is just to inform you of what's going on so that you can make the right decisions, right?
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
that
We
is it.
we don't make money on this. We're not planning on making money in this.
Right,
This is just something we thought we should do and get out there and help people with.
right.
We're Joel and I are IT guys for our families and
Yeah.
security guys for our families and friends and stuff like that. And it's like, what? I bet there's some other people out there who could benefit from stuff like this. So we
Right,
just
right.
figured we put stuff like that. If you like the content, please hit the like button, the thumbs up. If you want to subscribe just to learn a little bit more, we try to put one of these out every week or so, unless we're on vacation or traveling or things. But we
Right.
try to keep pretty steady at it. We're on episode 24.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one
Wow.
per hour now, right? We can pull a whole day.
We could do a
Um,
whole day.
we can do a whole day. We'll keep going, baby.
We
Keep
just keep
going.
going.
Don't
We
stop.
keep
Can't
going.
stop.
Won't
Um,
stop.
I
I
love
love
having
it,
it.
baby.
All
I
right.
love it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well,
Boom, boom,
listen.
boom.
Thanks everybody for joining us today and dealing with our silliness and craziness. And we'll see you next time.
Yep, yep. Take care.